Good day, students. Welcome again to my YouTube channel. I am Dr. Luisito Pimasanga at your service. Thank you very much to those students who are continuously watching my tutorial videos and sharing the videos to their friends, classmates, relatives. Thank you very much for your support. I'll give you a round of applause. For today's tutorial, we are going to continue pricing decisions part 2 of module 6, and we are going to discuss again our major topic, which is pricing decisions, and part 2 deals with influences on pricing decisions. Our learning outcomes for this part 2: at the end of this tutorial video, students will be able to understand what factors influences pricing decisions. At the end of this video, students will be able to comprehend what are psychological factors, what are the different objectives in terms of pricing, the pricing strategies or tactics, what is this industry conditions referring to Porter's 5 forces, and many more. So here, we are going to discuss psychological aspects, pricing objectives, and industry conditions, and the last is the pricing tactics. So we are going to discuss this in part 2. So to continue, number 1 is psychological aspects of pricing. So in this psychological aspect of pricing, the customers evaluate and assess their purchase decision related to the price of a product or a service based on their experience, purchasing experience. And also, they base it on communication. And here we have formal, which is the advertising, social media, the Facebook, there are a lot, the YouTube. So these are formal communications. And we have informal communications. An example of these are their sphere of influences, like, for example, friends, relatives, neighbors, classmates, associates, peers, and sometimes office staff for that matter. So this is psychological aspect of pricing, wherein the customers evaluate based on their purchasing experience and type of communications. Let's go to these psychological aspects of pricing. There are two major factors related to psychological pricing. First is the reference prices, and the other one is the price perceived quality relationship. Price perceived quality relationship was discussed in part 1, and the result of the study showed that it has positive correlation. Let us first discuss reference prices. Reference prices has two factors, the internal and the external. When we say external, this is the regular retail price, or we have suggested retail price, or SRP. That is in external reference, which is part of the psychological aspect of pricing. Like whenever there is a calamity, the Department of Trade and Industry is really controlling and monitoring the SRP price so that the entrepreneurs will not raise their prices during times of calamity. So there is really a suggested retail price, like, for example, chicken, essential commodities like rice, those things. Internal reference price, another factor of psychological pricing, it deals with the cognitive or mental prices used to assess or evaluate an observed price. So again, there are two factors in psychological pricing: the reference price and the price perceived quality relationship. When we talk about reference price, there are two factors, the internal and the external. We go to this reference price. So again, reference price is one factor of psychological pricing, and reference price has two factors, the internal and the external. The external is the suggested retail price, while the internal is the perceived price and the observed price. So this reference price has a significant impact on brand choice, both in durable and non-durable goods. Example, when the observed price is higher than than the perceived price, the observed price is higher than the perceived price. The perception of the customer is that they got a bad deal. They are losing at their end. However, when observed price is either equal or below than the reference price, the consumer is happy. So that is the psychological aspect of pricing that influences the consumer. To give more examples and elaboration of this internal reference price, we say that this is the perceived price and the observed price of the consumer. Okay? Okay, there you go. So these are examples. Fair price, or what the product ought to cost the customer. We have price frequently charged. We have also last price paid. We have also the highest price someone would pay, in reverse, the lowest amount the customer would pay. The price of the brand usually bought, the average price charged for a similar products, and the expected future price or the typical discounted price. So these are examples of internal reference price, which deals with the perceived price versus the observed price of the consumer that influenced them to make a pricing decisions or purchase decisions. A very concrete and typical example of psychological pricing is that you can see this in beauty salons, barbershop, and some services that their pricing, which is posted on their windows, it has the odd numbers. Like for example, the number 9, no? For example, the price is hair rebonding at 999 pesos. So that is a strategy on psychological pricing. Odd prices, or those ending with nines and other odd numbers, can also have an important impact on purchasing behavior of the consumer. It is, very mentally, it is very costly to see a 1,000 pesos label than a 999 because it's less than 1,000. That's why it's called psychological pricing. Very good. This is about pricing objectives. Maybe ultimate goal is to have a strategic pricing for your business, for your product, for your service. So your objectives is what is the pricing objective that I need to implement. So we have 5 different objectives when it comes to objective to attain your goal. Okay. We have penetration pricing. This is applicable for new products and you set your pricing very low. You have also return on sales and investment pricing, which is basically applicable to monopolize or monopoly business. And you have computed already the rate of return, and that will be on top of your pricing. We have also pricing stability or pricing for stability, no? The inflation, the up and down volatility of the price. So you want your price to be stable, so you can set pricing for stability, which prevents or avoid fluctuation in prices. We have also the objective of skimming price, which is setting your price at a premium price. And then, especially if you have a different or you differentiate your product from your competitors, that is very nice, skimming pricing. And we also have competitive pricing. This is a pricing based on historical data, which means that you have 5 competitors. This is the prices of your competition. So you have to implement your competitive pricing. Very nice. About factors, the role of competition in pricing decisions is also very important. Like what I discussed, it is not only the 3 C's of marketing is related to the company, the customer, and the competition. In the competition, pricing also is very important because you want to know what is from the historical data that you gathered, what is really the trend of the pricing for this particular product. So you have to understand the pricing of the competition. So again, 2 factors, understanding the role of competition in pricing decision. One is the competitor's cost. Of course, if you have 5 competitors, you know that this 5 is charging this price for their product. And based on historical pricing behavior, you must have a data so that you can better understand the competition factors and related to pricing decisions. Again, we have 2 factors. We have competitors' cost and the historical data related to pricing behavior. There are still other factors affecting price. It's not only the psychological pricing, not only the objectives of pricing, but also related to customer product life cycle or the product life cycle, the stages, the introduction, the growth, the maturity, and decline. And we have also the category decisions, which is basically the Porter's 5 forces, Michael Porter's 5 forces theory model. Again, these are factors affecting price, the product life cycle, and the category the conditions which we are going to discuss. This is the product life cycle stages. This is, the case of Pont, a chemical factory. So this is the stages of the product life cycle. On this first column, you can see that this is the introduction stage, the growth stage, the maturity, and the decline stage. On the second column is the players who are involved. Like for example, in the introduction stage, there is only the factor of the customer. And the objective is, perceived value and value in use. Now, when the product goes to the growth cycle, there is already a competitive penetration. So therefore, your pricing strategy, because there is already a competition, all right, so you must have to align your pricing strategy based on the growth stage because the players involves the customer and also your competition or the competitors. So the value here is reaction analysis. Okay? there is also a shared stability because you have competitors already. So the competition and the cost are now affecting your pricing decision. Remember, competition and pricing, there is the competitor's historical data and there is the cost of the competition. And in this growth stage, you can really experience profit. So that's why you have to again realign your pricing strategy based on this growth stage. And of course, the maturity, this is the commodity competition, and the decline, which is the withdrawal stage of the product life cycle. Here we go to the category conditions affecting price, and this is Porter's 5 forces. The first one is the threat of new entrants. If this is very high, low prices help to protect market position. That will be your objective. No? On the other hand, if the power of the buyers and suppliers are also high, tends to lower prices and it tends to put more pressure on the product to deliver a good value price ratio. And if the rivalry is high, it tends to manifest a strong price competition. No? And then if there is pressure from substitute of that product, more substitute, meaning to say, means higher chances of price competition, no? Because there is an alternative product available. And unused capacity, this is overcapacity or excess capacity that leads to war competition or price competition. Let us proceed to the different pricing tactics and strategies. Right? We have product line pricing. What is this? Setting prices for closely related set of products or for a product line. No? You have different product lines. You set your prices closely related to it. We have also price bundling. Takes a set of products in a package or bundle and prices lower than the sum of the individual items in the package. If there are 5, you total those different items. Let's say it's 100, so your bundle price is lower than 100. It could be 99. Right? That is a good choice that will influence consumer behavior to purchase. No? Bundle. Sometimes the bundle can also be priced higher, like for example, McDonald's Happy Meal, as long as it is attractive or convenient. The next is complementary pricing. What is this? It applies to products that are used together when one of the product fills a sustainable need. Example, razor and blades, cellular phone and SIM card, computer and printer, coffee and creamer. So these are examples of complementary pricing. You could, aside from bundling, you could also have a husband and wife, pricing by having it complemented to one another. And we have also a value pricing. This is commonly used by airlines, hotels, rental cars, fast food restaurants like McDonald's, Jollibee. That is value pricing. And also, in Asal, for that matter, any food chain or any food chain or services can use value pricing because, in airline industry, there is what you call price discrimination, meaning to say there is same product, but sometimes it involves time. Like for example, if you buy the the plane ticket maybe a year before your flight, it is very cheap rather than buying a ticket for when you need it ready, maybe 3 days or 4 days before your flight. So there is price discrimination for that same service. And it also differs to, what class of service, first class or business class. Same product, but the price is different. Okay? All right. This pricing tactic is very popular and you can see it everywhere. No? Like all items 20 pesos, all items 50 pesos, all items 100 or 99. This is everyday low pricing. Lowering prices permanently and significantly reduce both trade and consumers' promotions. This example, Walmart, Home Depot, Toys R Us are examples of retailers using everyday low pricing. This tactic is about hidden price increases, raising prices without explicitly increasing the posted price. No? This is quite unfair. I do not know who are the entrepreneurs who are using these hidden price increases. Price discrimination, I already discussed this. Just an example, uh, price discrimination, of course, because of the 20% senior citizen discount, same product, there is a different pricing on those categories. Basically, an example of price discrimination. We have also a second market, discounting, a useful pricing strategy when excess production exists, surplus. This policy sells the surplus product at its discount to a market separate from the main market. Example, private label, brands, foreign markets. No? This is also a strategy, especially for international trade or global trade. Here we go to periodic discounting, periodic discounting or seasonal discounting. No? Examples of these are electricity and telephone companies that charge different rates during off and you know and on peak period. And this is appropriate when some customers are willing to pay a higher price to have a product or a service during a particular period. Like, for example, candles are expensive during All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day. Flowers are expensive because it's Valentine's Day every Feb 14. No? So, season, like, for example, the Noche Buena products, the ham, it is expensive during that kind of Yuletide season. So, that is part of the pricing tactic, which is called periodic discounting. And the last is auction. One strategy is the price band, meaning to say it is a methodology to determine what is the maximum and the minimum price. Okay, so that they can, somehow set a median price for auction. That is personalized pricing practiced by eBay. Right? So again, I would like to thank each and everyone to patiently watching this tutorial video. Thank you very much. Always keep safe. Please subscribe, hit the bell button and notification, and always take care.